Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teacheth the Bible in 100% truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, starting with the 144,000, consisting of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in the land of the Americas, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, today I'm looking at this particular article here. This is from The Guardian, and this is from last October, so it's not exactly new. 12th of October 2023, and it's entitled, "It's Like Trying to Quit Smoking. Why are 1 in 7 of us addicted to ultra-processed foods?" So that's the article I'm going to look at today, and I'm also going to link this particular video in the description box. It's entitled "You Won't Believe What's Next." Now this is going into the fact that you go to the doctor, and when you go to the doctor, you tell him what's wrong, and then he prescribes something for you, what to do, and that could be anything from going for a walk or getting some extra sleep to here are these, take 3 of these, take these 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. Certain words obviously I'm going to have to try to avoid, and when you go to the doctor, what they're not allowed to do is offer you natural products, herbal remedies, a bit like what if you came to a man of the Lord, or if you went through the scriptures, you would see that herbs are used, and you got to think thousands and thousands of years have gone by, and human beings have been able to survive and cure illnesses using natural remedies, herbal remedies around them, things that maybe grow in the wild, things that you can obtain quite easily as an individual. But now we live in a time, say maybe the last 50, 60 years, bit more, bit longer, where we're told to go to the doctor, and once you go to the doctor, we're now in a time where the doctor is not allowed to prescribe natural herbs as a remedy. They have to prescribe patented drugs. And when you look at this particular video, this is going to talk you through the process and how that is brought about within America, for example. And obviously we know that a lot of the world then follow the ways in which America go about things. So these philosophies, these way of doing things, this new way of treating people for their illnesses, if you like, I say new, it's new in terms of the history of the human being, under these Edomites, and they talk you through the process pretty much of how the doctors are not allowed to prescribe particular natural remedies. I've explained before, if I've become ill, you could ring a doctor, make an appointment, go to the doctor. The doctor will say, look, take 3 of these, take these 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. Or you could just go online, you type in your symptoms, search for any natural remedies, and you're likely to come across some sort of herb, or food, or some sort of natural remedy, that in which you can cure that particular problem that you've got. Now, before I jump into this particular article, you see, because a lot of the illness that we get is through what we do to our bodies, basically. So if you treat your body badly by eating things you shouldn't be eating, or living a lifestyle which is unhealthy, then you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer from various ailments and illnesses, and that's what ultimately pushes you into the direction of the doctor. But this article here shows you part of the reason why we're having to go to the doctor in the first place with these particular ailments. Now, before I get into it, a lot of these things brought about to us through living under the rule of the Edomites, which we're doing at the minute. The nation of Israel are living under the rule of the Edomites as well as all the other nations. And so the philosophies, the agendas that are set forth around the world, the way things are manufactured, produce, retail marketing, food falls into this category. And so this is controlled by the Edomites. And today, with this science that they have and these chemicals, they do a lot of things to these particular products. A, to make them look the way they look. B, to make them have a long shelf life, so on and so forth. And these are things that we can't avoid, we cannot get away from. Ezekiel chapter 4 speaks of, I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but speaks of the nation of Israel's bread being defiled. It's Ezekiel 4:13. It says, "And Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." So that's where we're at today. If you're new, you can read the whole of Ezekiel chapter 4. He pretty much it says a siege of Jerusalem predicted. So Ezekiel reenacts, if you like, the situation that happens with the siege of Jerusalem, and then he also goes on to speak about the defiled bread, and like I say, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Most High Yahweh puts Ezekiel through this particular process, and during that process, you can see verse 12, Ezekiel 4:12. It says, "Thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of a man in their sight." So Ezekiel was ordered to prepare his food with dung cometh out of a man, and that was later changed to the dung of a cow. But during that process, Ezekiel was told, Yahweh said, "Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." So that's where we're at today. And this goes back to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28 is a huge chapter when it goes into identifying who the children of Israel are. Now, if you question whether you are actually part of the nation of Israel, you've been told that you might be. You're going through the scriptures, you're trying to see if it makes sense to you. And Deuteronomy chapter 28 helps a lot of people to bear witness within their spirit that they are actually of the children of Israel. And you can see here is the latter half of the chapter is entitled "Consequences of Disobedience." So these are curses that we've been going through as a nation, and for disobeying the laws and commandments of Yahweh, ultimately Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. And starting off at verse 45, Deuteronomy 28:45 says, "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he command thee." It says, "And they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder upon thy seed forever," or up until the kingdom of heaven. Deuteronomy 28:47, "Because thou servest not Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies." And so we're currently still in that state. All these thousands of years later, the nation of Israel are still under serving our enemies under the rulership of these Edomites, who are the main enemies of the nation of Israel. It says, "Which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things." So anything we need, people talk about, they're going to go out and get what they, I'm going to go out there and get paid I'm getting this, I'm getting that, I'm getting my shit, I'm getting my, my this and my that and my that. Everything you got has to come through your enemy. Our people as a nation, we cannot produce our own. So everything we buy is through our enemies. You go to buy food, and the food is prepared. When it comes to, for example, the slaughterhouse, so on and so forth, and then it eventually arrives on the shelf. You go to buy this food, and you have no say in how this food was pretty much brought about to the shelf. You can go to the shop. You've got various choices to choose from, but the way the meat is brought about, for example, to the shelf in the shop for you to choose from, we have no say over. And so we don't know whether it's 100% meat. Is it chemically adapted? Has you've got halal meat, for example. It's obviously Muslim people will eat halal meat, which is sacrificed in the name of Allah, and obviously various other ways. There's so many different things that are going on with the food, and there's rituals that go on, various types of processes that the food go through, chemicals get put in them for them to last on the shelf. You go there and the same packet of meat is on the shelf for a week, and that's because there's chemicals in there in order to preserve it and to keep it looking the way it's looking for that whole week. So these are all unnatural things, and these are things that we have no control over. And so back to Deuteronomy 28:48, therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. Even when when you're unwell, you become sick. Now you have to go to your enemy. You can't go to, you can, there are Hebrew Israelites out here teaching. There are men of the Lord. You can listen to us. If you were to come to me and ask me for medical advice, I would look up the symptoms on Google and find some natural remedies, natural herbs, natural spices, fruit, vegetables, which can cure the ailment. And a lot of people are doing that now for themselves. But when you look at the powers that be, the infrastructure that we live within, if you want to travel around and you don't have a car, the beast system has given you a train. Now you can complain that the train station is over here and it's too far from here and it's too expensive, but they provided you with a system of travel within the beast system. And it's the same thing with health. There is a system of care within the beast system, but unfortunately the system of care within the beast system does not involve natural remedies or herbal remedies. I've had problems before with my back. For example, I got hit by a bus. I was about 24. I got hit by a bus, I had a lot of back problems. Now doing, if you like, you approach the beast system. You say, well, how can the beast system help me out here? And they say, well, go to the doctor. Go to the system that we have incorporated for healthcare. So you go to it, and they want to give you, take this 3 times a day, or take this jump shot, or, have this operation. And then you say to yourself, well, this is all a little bit drastic. When you consider, I've had a knock, my back's out of place, maybe I just need it clicked back in. So then you look at things like osteopaths. Osteopath will lay you on your back and get you to breathe in, breathe out, bang, and he'll click everything back into place. And when you go to the medical field, they won't tell you to go there, but then these osteopaths exist, and you speak to the osteopath, and they say, well, they don't class this as care. I should really be using the MED word, MEDICINE, but I'm using the word care. So go into the beast system and go into places of care for your health. They will never offer a natural remedy. you say, oh, what about the osteopath? And they say, no, you shouldn't go there because it will cause arthritis. You're rubbing your bones. Yeah, but if it's out of place, it needs to be clicked back into place. It's not like you're doing it every day. You just need a one-off situation. And I ended up, when I was in my situation, ended up going to the osteopath. He clicks everything back into place. And then the idea was then to do a few small exercises to strengthen your muscles and to keep your bone structure in place. So then easy, there's free, easy medical advice, and it works. You don't have to go for operations, jump shots, or take these 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. All those side effects that come with it, all that kind of stuff, and the things you're putting into yourself. What's the need for that? But we live in that system, and so people out there, they don't really have. You have like these independent herbalists, for example, that are out there now, but really, like I'm talking in terms of the beast system, what's provided for you by the beast system. You live within this infrastructure, and do they provide natural herbal remedies for you when it comes to care? No, they don't. Everything's operate and take this 3 times a day or jump shot. Deuteronomy 28 and 49. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And that eagle represents the Edomites. You look at the ancient Roman Empire, you look at America, and all these various different Edomite groups of people, in terms of the Roman Empire or the nation of America, for example. They pretty much carry the symbol of an eagle, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favour to the young. So when it comes to care, for example, you'd think they'd go easy on a newborn child, but they don't. As soon as the child's born, they're trying to stick you with jump shots. They don't care how old you are. And a lot of the people that you see, elderly people that are suffering all these particular ailments, a lot of them are from the slow poisoning through the food and through the care, the things they take, the jump shots, take this 3 times a day, and so on and so forth. So those things eventually, I've explained before, I brought out the fact about the water. The water that you drink in the tap has soft metals and dirt. Bottled water has soft metals but no dirt. Distilled water is pure water. So when you're drinking these other waters with soft metals, these things are building up with inside you. Eventually they cause problems in your old age. This is all slow poisoning. You say to someone, look, you're smoking, slowly you're poisoning yourself, slowly, eventually you end up with some sort of cancer or some sort of ailment through the smoking. So the smoking is a slow process to fast forward in your death in a particular area, but it's no different with the care, with the jump shots, with the food that you're given. And so it doesn't matter whether you're young, whether you're old. We're living under the rulership of our enemies. We go to them for the want of all things, and this is where the problems start. These are curses that are brought upon us, and you can see it, you can witness it for yourself around you today. And then when you go through the curses, there are other curses which fall in line with people of the nation of Israel having health problems. So how did those curses of those health problems come about? Through the activation of the curses through the food. For this, for the fact that the Most High is saying you have to go to them for the want of all things. So straight away they give you, these Edomites, poison food, poison water, poison air. When it comes to the kingdom of heaven and you live under the rulership of the Israelites, the air won't be polluted like this. So living in this time now, the air is polluted. Do we have a choice? Can we escape it? No, you can't. So there you go. You go to them for the want of all things, including the quality of air that they have provided for you to breathe. And a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. You know, a lot of people go to doctors, and you know, someone will, you know, I've been to people's houses to do work on their house, right? And you go there to hang a door, and this person's got 1,001 questions. You're trying to hang this door for them, and they're asking this and they're asking that and they're asking this, and you're thinking, do you know what? If you just stop talking and let me just work, and I can just get the door hung, and I'm out of it. But you know, they got all these questions. I don't know about this and I don't know about that. When they go to the doctor, do you think they got all these questions? No, they don't. They go there and, you know, they just accept what they're told. The doctor will pull out something, take this 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. You read it, it's got some Latin word, you can't even read it. 25 letters in the word. Ain't got a clue what it means. Ain't got a clue what it does. Doctor talks to you about all this gobbledygook. You don't know what's going on. All you know is he said, you know, you go home, you see these people, they come out, been to the doctor. What did he tell you? Oh, he just told me to take this 3 times a day. So what else did he tell you? Oh, you know, I don't know. Because it doesn't register. None of it made sense in their brain. They didn't ask certain questions. They just follow because it goes back to predictive programming. And when you go to the video, the link for the video that I'm going to leave, you watch how, you know, before I get into this article, you watch how they've manipulated people into accepting what the doctor provides. So when the doctor says jump shot, take this 3 times a day, or I'm not allowed to give you a herbal remedy, you know, that video explains the process they went through. And you can see, you know, predictive programming is something that you get through movies. You know, they show events. They show one event, various parts of that one event scattered about in various different movies. Those movies will come out slowly, one by one over a number of years, and then the event happens. So they softened you for it. You know, they do it obviously with the care. When you look at that particular video, you'll see how they do it, you know, by promoting things on TV. So people, it provides automatic answers in people's minds. So when people become unwell, you see that what they're taught is, you know, how can I put it? You should basically have the mindset that I'm going to eat healthy and I'm not going to get sick. You know, I don't expect to get sick. I get a little bit of a cold here and there, runny nose, cough, sore throat, maybe once a year for about a week, and that's it. You shouldn't expect to get ill because you should be eating right. What a lot of people in this society, through the predictive programming, they expect to get ill at some point. They expect it. That's why they're ready to book their, you know, I can call into work sick at least 5 times in a year. And you know, it's January, so I better not just call in sick yet. I'll leave it until the summer comes. I'll call in sick a few times in the summer, and I'll get some days off in the summer. People predict being sick, and then, you know, what are you going to do when you're sick? Go to the doctor. What's the doctor going to do? He's not allowed to provide herbal remedies. And so that's predictive programming. And even when you watch that video, they'll talk to you about the Marcus Welby syndrome. And during the 1970s, one of the most popular medical shows on American TV was Marcus Welby, MD. As medical shows went back then, it was passable entertainment, and sometimes even broached sensitive subjects not normally mentioned on TV at the time. But with its popularity came an annoying and potentially dangerous side effect. Some people would watch the show, which featured one main patient disease per week, and decided that they had the same problem that was highlighted on that week's episode. They would then show up at the hospital or their doctor's office with a list of symptoms and the news that they had that particular disease. So, and then they eventually call that the Marcus Welby syndrome, and you'll see reference to that on that particular video. But yeah, back to this particular article. I'm not going to try keep this too much longer. It's like trying to quit smoking. Why are 1 in 7 of us addicted to ultra processed foods? Now, I won't leave the link for this article in the description box because you're not going to be able to get it. You need a subscription to get into it. It's The Guardian. What I have learned over the last week or so, you might know this already, you might not. Sometimes you go online, you search for articles and you can't get in because it says you need a subscription, you need this, you need to pay this, you need to do this, you need to sign up to this. And so you just, me personally, I can't be bothered, so just keep it moving. What I've learned is as long as the article is over 24 hours old, you can get it for free. And what you have to do, you type in archive, so ARCHIVE .is, all lowercase letters, / and then the title of the article. So in this case, I couldn't get into the article when I found it. I saw the headline on Google. I clicked onto it. It said no, you need a subscription to get into it. The Guardian. It was over 24 hours old. It's from last October. So I went to the search bar, where you'd normally put www. I didn't put any of that. I just put in archive, ARCHIVE .is / it's like trying to quit smoking. Why are 1 in 7 of us addicted to ultra processed foods? So putting that into Google or into the search bar, pretty much, not Google, but where I search the internet, the page search, if you like. If you type in archive.is / and then the headline, the article will appear. And as you can see here, I haven't paid for this. So if I leave the link for this now in the description box, you'll click it and it won't let you in. But you'll have to type in, well, it might, because if I've searched it on the archive, it might link you straight to that. So I'll try it, and if it doesn't, you can do that with any article that's over 24 hours old, as long as it exists. If you need to pay a fee to see it and you don't want to pay the fee, type in archive.is / and then the title of the article. But yeah, real quick, so just getting through this article, it says here, biscuits, ice cream and fizzy drinks can be just as addictive as alcohol and cigarettes. Research has found. What are they doing to our bodies, and how can we kick the habit? Whenever I open a sharing bag of my favorite crisps, 150 grams, which is 5 servings, I never mean to eat them all. Sometimes I succeed in eating only half and putting the rest back in the cupboard, but the open packet preys on my mind. I can't concentrate on anything else until I take it out again and scoff the lot, licking every last bit of the tangy, salty coating off my fingers. It's incredibly delicious, but immediately afterwards I feel a bit sick and a bit ashamed and vow never to do it again. Sooner or later, of course, I do. It might not be crisps for you, it might not be chocolate or ice cream or fizzy drinks. These are ultra processed foods, UPFs, which we know are extremely harmful to health, are designed to be hyper palatable and overeaten. So, UPFs, ultra processed foods, chocolate crisps, ice cream, fizzy drinks, for example, ultra processed foods. What this article is saying, they're designed to be hyper palatable, so extra sensitive on your palate, on your mouth. You taste something and you say, okay, yeah, I really like that taste of strawberry, but then you buy this strawberry ice cream and they boost up the taste of that strawberry so much that when you eat it, you think it's almost like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of this. This is just And what it is because it's actually a product that has been designed. Food itself, real, natural, organic, healthy, natural food is not designed by human. It's designed by Yahweh B'Hashim Yahushua, a divine power. But the ultra processed foods are they have the design of a man, of a human being on them. So you already know that they're never going to be as quality. It's like going to China and buying a fake Chinese Mercedes. It looks like a Mercedes, but it's never going to last as long. So they're designed to be hyper palatable on your palate, and overeaten, and that's why you have that. You eat at McDonald's. I remember when I was young. I don't eat them now, but I remember you'd eat a McDonald's meal. You've had this big meal. You're full up. It tasted really nice, even though now we know it's no different from eating cardboard, nutrition wise. But when I was young, I'd remember you'd finish it, and it's like you'd want more. You'd want more, a bit more, and that's why you see these people coming out of McDonald's with one serving for themselves, and they've got like 4 or 5 bags of food. They can't get enough. And these are products that are designed to be hyper palatable and overeaten. Not designed by the Most High, designed by humans. Says now researchers believe they are not just hard to resist, they are actually addictive. An analysis of 281 studies in 36 countries by scientists from the US, Spain and Brazil, published in the BMJ, found that 40% of adults and 12% of children have a food addiction, and the food they are addicted to is ultra processed. It says here the lead author of review, Professor Ashley Gerhardt of University of Michigan, created the Yale Food Addiction Scale in 2009 to measure the problem. I took the standard diagnostic criteria for alcohol, nicotine, cocaine and heroin and translated them to food. She explains, the criteria include excessive intake, loss of control, overconsumption, cravings, continued use despite negative consequences and withdrawal. If a person has had 2 or more symptoms over the past year, coupled with significant impairment of distress, this is classed as a food addiction. Gerhardt tells me about some of the extreme examples of food addiction she has come across in her research. One patient with type 2 diabetes knew the risks of continuing to eat high sugar foods, amputation, blindness, death. Despite desperately wanting to stop, she couldn't. She would just eat one donut. She wouldn't just eat one donut, she would eat the whole box. She said, I just can't resist. Gerhardt likens the case to people with lung cancer who are unable to stop smoking. And, this is something that Israelites suffer from a lot. For example, diabetes. And this patient here, type 2 diabetes, says knew the risk of continuing to eat high sugar foods, which is what our people do. You see, it mentioned these eating problems come through distress, which is what the nation of Israel have upon them through the consequences of disobedience, through the curses. And then, through the distress that we go through, then that leads Israelites to, if you like, eat junk food, these ultra processed foods. And, they give momentarily relieve them, if you like, from their problems. But ultimately they're leading them towards, it says here, amputation, blindness and death, just through diabetes alone. So continuing on here, it says what exactly is that 40% of us are addicted to? Food that is high in refined carbohydrates and or added fats. UPFs, which the authors define as industrially processed foods containing ingredients not available in home kitchens, are the main source of such food. So these UPFs that are high in refined carbohydrates or added fats, what these are referred to are industrially processed foods containing ingredients not available in home kitchens. And so This is what I mentioned. Herbal remedies, herbs, spices, fruit, vegetables. These types of things, you can go and obtain them. Easily. You can bring them to your kitchen. You can use these ingredients to make up a meal. But now you're going to, in this modern day, you go into these food outlets. You're buying food off them, fast food, takeaway food, whatever you want to call it. And for them to be able to keep it looking the way it looks and keep it lasting for as long as it lasts, the things have to be done to it. So ultimately, and then they want you to come back. These are products. When you're going to buy food, these are the company's products. So every time you buy something to eat, that's a unit of sale. So they want more units of sale, so they make them highly palatable. This all goes in towards industrially processed foods containing ingredients not available in home kitchens. It says, not all UPFs trigger addiction. Sweets and salty snacks, which are designed for pleasure, are therefore profit, are more likely to be addictive than, say, plant milks and meat alternatives, which are also ultra-processed but are designed for a purpose, in this case replacing animal products. So they're saying the ones that are more addictive are the ones that are designed for pleasure. With certain food, you need meat as part of a balanced diet. And what they try and do now in this world, unfortunately we have to go to the enemy for the want of all things, and they provide us with ulterior meats, food which is processed. Now we need that particular food to eat to get by. So sometimes if you've got the choice, you try to buy the best quality. Some people are unaware, so they just end up buying whatever, and you're buying processed food. But then you have things which you don't necessarily need. You don't necessarily need sweets and crisps. You don't need these types of junk food. They're just there for your pleasure. So ultimately that's a product. And it's a product designed, they refine it and design it to make it really tasty to you, to make it really addictive, and to keep you coming back, and therefore more profit. But surely food can't be addictive in the same way as alcohol or tobacco. I say to Chris Van Tullochen, a doctor and the author of Ultra Processed People. That's what we live in. We live in a society, we've got ultra processed people live in ultra processed lives, eating ultra processed food, and they go home, they go to work, they go home, they watch the TV, predictive programming, and then they have these ultra processed minds, and they go out the next day, they repeat. And what you're noticing today with people in society, they have a plan, for example, for their day. They have a plan for this and for that, and how they set things out in their mind. And when they come across a problem, they struggle to find a way through it because it wasn't planned, and people have not developed skills because their brains are ultra processed through the predictive programming, through the TV, through the radio, through the agendas, for the things that push to us. And for example, we live in a very over-sexualized society. So everything you see, most products, they come with a sexual content when they're being advertised to you, and that just one thing alone provides an over-sexualized society. So within your mind, sex is perceived as something it shouldn't be, and then it's probably coming to the forefront of your mind more often than it should do, because you live in an over-sexualized society, and it's designed to do that. So this is all goes back into the predictive programming and ultra-processed people. But back to what the article says here. It says, I totally agree that food is not addictive, he says, but UPF is not really food. And the purpose of food is to provide nourishment. UPF's primary purpose is profit and financial growth. So, you need food as a source of nourishment. That's the purpose of it. And you feel hungry, you can't, haven't got time to make a meal at the minute, maybe you're at work, and then you pick up some crisps, some sweets, or you go to buy McDonald's to get you by. You then say, okay, I bought that food to fill my hunger until I'm able to get home and make some more food. But that food that you ate in the meantime is not really food. It's ultra processed fats or ultra processed foods, which is not really food. The purpose of food is to provide nourishment, and this type of food, the UPFs, does not provide any nourishment. Lollipops, sweets, crisps, all. You go to a sweet shop, and there's a choice of more sweets and sugary things than I can even name. Every time I take my little one to the top of the road, there's a little shop, and we have to get certain things. And the thing I hate is that we go in there, and she's 4 years old, and in her little world, she looks at the wall, and there's like 1,001 different choices of sweets. And she's like, can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have that? And I'm forever standing there going, no, you can't have it, you can't have it, you can't have it. It's not because I want to be mean to her, it's because I don't want her to have these ultra-processed UPFs, these ultra-processed foods, or fats. So what we end up doing is, when she needs a snack, we try and give her fruit, strawberries, grapes, or bananas, or this or that, or nuts. And so what you're doing, you're trying to provide a snack, but then you're trying to provide it in like a sweet, something that's sweet for them, but something that's natural. And we're trying to get her used to it. And we did have that on lock for the first 2 years, and then obviously what happens, grandparents start getting involved, and then you need a break, and you start dropping them with the grandparents, and the grandparents start feeding them chocolate and sweets, and then they come home and then they tell you, I want a lollipop, I want this, I want that, I want whatever else. Forever asking me. I haven't given her a lollipop now for months, but she's still asking me for a lollipop all the time. I want a lollipop. Can you take me to the shop and get me a lollipop? And I'm just like, this damn fucking lollipop. What is the use of a lollipop? What does it do? It just rots your teeth. It's ultra processed. Obviously, we wouldn't call it food, but what is the purpose of putting it in your mouth? And the contents of whatever is in there, then where does it disappear to? It disappears down into your body. So I can't see the purpose in it, and I hate them. I hate going into these shops, and I hate seeing 1,001 different sweets, and I look at them and I think there's the only thing these things can do is rot your teeth, and obviously they taste good. I'm no different from anyone else. Every now and again, you want something a bit sweet or whatever, you buy a bit of chocolate or this, that and the other. Again, this is what we've got used to. It's the predictive programming. It's what's been instilled in us in this society. But you can break the habit. And for example, I used to eat white bread, and I used to have white sugar. And then at first, I said to myself, I'm going to just change to brown sugar, brown bread, which is better for you. At first, the taste is a bit like you're not too sure, but you just carry on with it for a week or two, and then what you'll notice is when you go backwards, and you then try what you used to try, you'll notice the difference. You'll go, damn, that's too much. I used to drink fizzy cans of soft drink just like anyone else, Coke, 7-Up, this, that, and the other, and then one day I found out that there's 17 cubes of sugar inside one can of fizzy drink, so I decided to leave it. I stopped it altogether. And then I remember like about a year or two later, somebody offered me a fizzy drink. I said, okay, yeah, I'll try it. And I couldn't taste the flavour. All I could taste was the sugar. And, by purposely stopping from drinking fizzy drinks, a year or two went by, I happened to taste it. I took 2 sips and I said, I can't drink this. Or it just tastes like a can of sugar. But before that, where I'd been used to it my whole life, I could identify the tastes of this and the tastes of that, but then, like I say, you come away from it, your palate changes, the taste on your palate, and you go back to it. Then you'll say, what the hell is this? I can't. This is not right. But you don't really realize it until you have the willpower to actually push yourself through it. And then when you get to the other side, then you say, oh wow, yeah, actually the grass is greener. The purpose of food is to provide nourishment. UPF's primary purpose is profit and financial growth. Gehart agrees that what has changed is the food. Our body's reward system is set up to make sure we get enough sugar and fat to survive. With UPFs, she says, our survival system has gone into hyper overdrive. And that's why people have all these health problems. And then when you go to to see the doctor. The doctor's not allowed. When you watch that video that I'm going to leave the link for, the doctor's not allowed to give you the natural remedies that I would, for example, would suggest to you. So reading on here, an example given in the BMJ review is biscuits. Homemade biscuits contain butter and sugar, aka fat and carbs, but most people won't eat a whole batch in one go. With a packet of ultra-processed cookies, though, it can be hard to stop. The latter, the researchers explain, are more accessible, convenient, and heavily marketed than homemade versions. So the ultra-processed cookies are, they're more convenient, they're heavily marketed than the homemade versions, because the homemade ones you have to make them yourself, and therefore likely to be more potent driver of addicted food intake. Don't underestimate convenience. If I had to make my own chocolate or pizza, I probably wouldn't eat it that often, says Gerhardt. And that's something we try and do, in my house. If obviously every now and again, if you're stuck, you get home late, you haven't got time to cook, you end up getting a takeaway in an emergency or whatever. But sometimes my wife, I'll get her to make a pizza. So we'll make a homemade pizza. You buy the ingredients, you put them on there, the vegetables, all the real things, and it's a lot more nourishing. And like I say, at first when you might, you think, oh, taste ain't the same, but you got to realize what you're eating. End of the day, you're just eating a bunch of chemicals, a product designed to make money out of you. It's gonna taste, it's designed to blow your taste buds through the roof. Now you're eating this homemade meal. It doesn't necessarily blow your taste buds through the roof. That's because you just had the processed meal. But if you give time to the homemade meal, over a course of a little period of time, and then go back to the processed, you then realize, I was just eating a bunch of chemicals. It says, in this way, packeted biscuits are similar to cigarettes. No, really. Processed tobacco leaves have been available for hundreds of years for people to make their own addictive tobacco products, the researchers say. However, the invention of the cigarette roller in the 1880s to mass-produce cigarettes contributed to a more than 1,000% increase in cigarette smoking. As to the precise mechanism of food addiction, the BMJ article talks about extracellular dopamine in the brain's striatum. I asked Gerhardt to explain. Eating UPFs causes dopamine, a neurotransmitter in the brain, to spike, making us feel great. It then crashes, making us feel terrible. We crave the return of the good feeling, so we eat more UPFs. The dopamine spikes are similar to those caused by alcohol and nicotine, and the resulting addiction levels are almost identical too. 14% of adults addicted to alcohol, 18% to nicotine, as cited in the BMJ study. So they're pretty much explaining that, you'll see someone smoking and you'll be standing there going, oh, that's unhealthy, you're poisoning yourself, you're slowly killing yourself, you're addicted, it's giving you a rush, and then when you come down you want another cigarette or whatever, and then but the guy standing there eating ultra processed cookies, and he's got the exact same problem, except for he doesn't have the cloud of smoke, he doesn't smell with the smoke, and so on and so forth, but it's no different. It says, as Van Tuleken explains, addictive products are not addictive for everyone. Almost 90% of people can try alcohol and not develop a problematic relationship. Many can try cigarettes or even cocaine. Equally, not everyone who eats UPFs will become addicted, but based on current studies, 1 in 7 will. Many UPFs for many people are addictive, Van Tuleken summarizes, and when people experience food addiction, it is almost always to UPF products. Unlike ethanol, the alcohol we drink, and nicotine, scientists have not identified a specific chemical that is responsible for food addiction. It is not one molecule that is addictive, says Van Tuleken. People can be addicted to Diet Cola or stuffed crust pizza or chocolate bars. The researchers agree that it is unlikely to be a single chemical, such as a sucrose, that is the culprit, and that the problem is more to do with how ingredients interact. And that's, we read in the scriptures, Esau is wiser than Daniel. These Edomites, they've got these scientists, and they're mixing up these man-made foods. Natural food is created divinely by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. But then these Edomites have put in their man-made touch to it, chemically inducing the food, so on and so forth. And people are becoming sick, and then when you're sick, he refuses to give you natural remedies. He gives you patented drugs, which ultimately does what? Makes money. And what they're saying is that with food addiction, the ultra processed foods, it's not about this particular thing or that particular thing, because you can be addicted to different things when it comes to ultra processed foods, but it's the fact of how they're interacting. And it goes back to the highly palatable, these are products. Ultra processed foods are products made by a human being in a lab designed to sell and make a lot of money. And in order to do that, they make them highly palatable and make you want to keep going back for more and more and more. At the same time, they're providing you with zero nourishment. You eat at McDonald's, you say, what did you have for lunch today? I had McDonald's. So you basically at the equivalent of eating a cardboard box. Nourishment wise, you at the equivalent of eating a cardboard box. And then you tell me, you wonder why you got cancer 10 years down the line, because you ate cardboard box every day for lunch for the last how many years. It says take carbohydrates and fats, but unprocessed foods tend to contain one or the other. 100 grams of apple and 55 calories from carbs and 1.5 calories from fat. I mean, what they do here, they start to go into the details. I'm not going to go into all that. They start going into the numbers, the figures, the calories, and so on and so forth. Like I say, I will try and leave the link for this video, for this article in the description box. It might take you straight to it, but if it doesn't, if it tells you need to subscribe to the website, remember what I said, just type in archive.is/ and then the title, and so any article that needs a subscription, you can get it for free as long as it's over 24 hours old. So before I go, herbs are mentioned in the scriptures. I'm just gonna, one example, this is Psalms 51. This is a psalm by King David. In Psalms 51:7 says here, purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean, and wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. So this is a psalm from David speaking to the Most High. Hyssop is used as a, if you like, in a ceremonial sense. Don't forget, on the Passover, the blood on the doorpost is, you use hyssop. And so on and so forth. So you can go into the scriptures and look at it, look for different examples. You can also look up a pH table for food. The hyssop, what I wanted to say, was also known for cleansing. I believe it's known as a cleansing agent, so that's something that can be used. Hang on a second, what's going on here? Yeah, I looked up this. You can look up a pH table for food. That's another thing. So these ultra-processed foods are quite highly acidic. And so, when you're constantly having acidic foods in your body, that can unbalance your pH, cause a whole number of health problems. And what you can do is just look up a pH table for food. Just trying to find one maybe looks a little bit decent, and what it will do, it will give you different foods and tell you what type of pH they are. So you'll notice, for example, on the acidic side, you have like the types of things that you have, I can't really read that very well. Your fast foods tend to be on the acidic side, but when other foods can obviously be more towards the alkali side. So here, for example, at the bottom, pork, according to the scriptures, we're not supposed to eat pork. But just, for example, low pH. On the acidic side, you've got pork, veal, beef, lamb, pickles, vinegar, black tea, soy sauce. But then, you jump right to the top, for example, with a high pH, alkali pH. You've got raw spinach, raw broccoli, artichokes, raw asparagus, red cabbage, cauliflower, cucumber, so on and so forth. So, if you're trying to work out, what's good and what's not good, you can look up pH table for food. Remember, if you're unwell, try not to run to the doctor. Try to go straight to Google and type in your symptoms. Type in common herbal remedies for that particular thing, and you can see what comes up. I don't remember loads of things. So I don't sit here, naming all these different things. I know certain things that I've used. I know turmeric, for example, for inflammation. Inflammation is one thing. Yeah, look in here, for example, actually, that's just reminded me. What's better, acidic versus alkali food? So I just typed it in just to get a brief description. Incorporating alkalizing foods into your diet can offer several health benefits. Maintaining pH balance. Alkali foods help keep your body's pH level in check, supporting its natural balance, preventing it from becoming too acidic. What's healthier? When the body becomes too acidic, it leads to inflammation. There you go, that's what I wanted to read. And an increased risk of other diseases and disorders. Whereas an alkalizing diet helps to balance your pH level, ultimately reducing acidity. When you have a more alkaline environment, your body is able to function at optimal levels. So, when you're buying these fast foods and these UPFs, ultra processed foods, they're all on the acidic side. So too much of that, and you're bringing your body's pH to an acidic level, and then your body's not operating at optimal level. So how can you cure it? You can look up the pH table for food. You saw, raw spinach, for example, all these natural products that you can get and available in your own home kitchen, and you can put these things together and make your own meals. Buy less of these ultra processed foods. I mean, every now and again, you get into an emergency out on the road somewhere, you get stuck, you can't get somewhere to eat a decent meal. Sometimes I do end up in that situation. You have to buy what you have to buy, but really, if I can avoid it, like the plague, when they say you avoid it like the plague, that's because you will catch plagues or pestilence from these acidic foods, these UPFs. So I'm going to leave it right there. I hope that was edifying. Until next time, I'm going to say all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakar Kwadash. And until next time, Shalom.